Welcome back to your daily deep dive into business and finance.
We've got some interesting news today.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Let's start with trade tensions. President Trump increased those tariffs on Chinese goods.
Yeah, it's impacting automakers like Ford and GM,
Really hitting them hard.
especially the Lincoln Nautilus and the Buick Envision.
Interesting. Are we looking at another trade war like the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act?
Well, that was back in 1930. It was supposed to protect American businesses during the Depression, but it actually ended up raising prices for everyone and probably made things worse.
So these new tariffs could do the same.
They could. It's definitely a risk.
It's not just tariffs creating uncertainty, though. Tom Barkin over at the Richmond Fed is worried about something else.
Oh, yeah. Businesses are holding back on investments
I guess that's
because no one knows what's going to happen with these economic policies.
It's like trying to drive through fog.
Exactly. You can't see what's ahead.
And that hesitation from big companies,
It trickles down,
it impacts everyone.
all the way down to the individual worker.
And what about those trade concessions from Canada and Mexico?
Some analysts say those were already in motion anyway.
So maybe not such a big win after all.
Well, it definitely adds more uncertainty for investors.
Investors don't like uncertainty.
Nope. They like stability, predictability.
Makes sense. Speaking of numbers, the trade deficit hit the second highest level ever last year.
Yeah, China and Mexico are at the top of that list.
What does that actually mean for, the average person?
Well, think about the stuff you buy every day.
Okay.
Electronics, clothing, groceries.
A lot of that comes from overseas.
Exactly. And that all contributes to the trade deficit.
Interesting.
It's not just some abstract number. It affects prices. It affects jobs. It even affects how strong the dollar is.
So we should be paying attention to this.
Absolutely. And on that note, the dollar actually weakened as those trade war anxieties eased.
Yeah.
The yen got stronger.
Like a seesaw.
Yeah, it's all connected.
Let's move over to Silicon Valley now. Big news from Alphabet.
Yeah, their shares tumbled over 7%.
Ouch. Why is that?
They missed their revenue projections.
Even though they're investing so much in AI.
That's what's surprising. Everyone thought AI was going to be their golden ticket.
So what happened?
Well, Bespoke Investment Group called it one of the most negative reactions to an earnings report all season.
But they just unveiled those powerful new Gemini 2.0 models.
Yeah, experimental flashlight.
They even made them public.
They did. But something's not clicking.
Maybe they're betting on the wrong horse.
It's possible, especially with Amazon breathing down their neck.
Speaking of Amazon, they just announced a hardware event for later this month.
February 26th.
What are they up to?
Focusing on updates to Alexa.
Trying to catch up in the AI race.
Looks like it. This could be their chance to shake things up.
Now let's shift gears to a topic that's been brewing for a while.
What's that?
The gap between corporate profits and worker wages.
Ah, yeah, that's a big one.
Deutsche Bank is sounding the alarm.
Saying U.S. corporate profits and asset prices are way too high.
While wages stay low.
It's a recipe for disaster.
How long could this last?
That's the million-dollar question. It's not sustainable in the long run.
Something's got to give.
Right, and when it does, it could have a ripple effect throughout the entire economy.
So we should be paying attention to this.
Definitely. Something to watch closely. Back for more deep dive into business and finance.
We sure are. Let's keep going with MicroStrategy. Strategy, I guess we should say now.
Right, their Bitcoin bet is,
Risky?
it could pay off big time, but
Oh.
it's definitely a gamble.
They're planning to spend, what, $42 billion?
Yeah, over 3 years.
Wow. And they've already spent a good chunk of that.
Almost half.
That's a lot of faith in Bitcoin.
And Bitcoin can be unpredictable, to say the least.
Speaking of unpredictable, the cannabis industry is seeing some action.
That Senate hearing on cannabis banking definitely got people's attention.
And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. could be the next Health and Human Services Secretary.
He's been pretty vocal about his support for cannabis.
So could this mean federal legalization is on the horizon?
It's definitely a possibility, and that would be huge for the industry.
It would open up so many opportunities.
More investment, more businesses. It would be a whole new landscape.
While some industries are looking up, others are facing challenges, like Disney+.
Yeah, those price hikes are leading to some subscriber churn.
People are getting tired of all these streaming services.
Subscription fatigue is a real thing.
So Disney's strategy is a bit of a gamble.
They're hoping to make up for lost subscribers with higher prices.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Especially compared to Netflix. They're dealing with similar issues.
Speaking of interesting moves, Vanguard is lowering fees on their ETFs.
That's great news for investors.
Lower fees mean more money in your pocket.
Exactly. And it could put pressure on other companies to do the same.
Competition is good.
It keeps everyone on their toes.
Back to Elon Musk.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of power in Washington now.
Yeah, his Department of Government Efficiency is in charge of a lot of money,
Trillions of dollars.
including Social Security.
So he's got a lot of responsibility.
And a lot of people are watching to see what he does with it.
It's a big test for him.
For sure. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Let's move on to some other quick hits. Eli Lilly's weight loss drug, Zepbound.
They need to show some long-term results.
Otherwise, investors might start to lose confidence.
Yeah. The weight loss market is pretty competitive these days.
Bank of America is talking about stock splits.
They say companies that split their stock tend to do well.
So that's something to keep an eye on.
Definitely. Could be a sign of good things to come.
The U.S. Postal Service is back to accepting packages from China and Hong Kong.
That's good news for businesses that rely on international shipping.
And for consumers, too.
Absolutely. It keeps things moving smoothly.
And internationally, Argentina has pulled out of the World Health Organization.
They're following in President Trump's footsteps.
It'll be interesting to see how that affects their global health initiatives.
And what kind of ripple effects it might have.
Back here in the U.S., the housing market is a bit of a mystery.
Mortgage rates are down, but demand is still low.
So what's going on?
It's probably a combination of factors: rising interest rates, economic uncertainty, affordability challenges.
It's a tough market for buyers right now.
And for sellers, too.
And lastly, a former NLRB member is suing President Trump.
Alleging wrongful termination.
That's a reminder that legal battles can happen anywhere.
Even in the world of business and finance.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
From Bitcoin to cannabis to the housing market.
It's a lot to keep track of.
But that's why we're here, to break it all down for you.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground here today. From tariffs to tech giants to market movers.
Yeah, it's been a busy day in the world of business and finance.
Let's try to sum it all up. What are the key takeaways from today's deep dive?
Well, first off, those trade tensions. President Trump's tariff hikes on Chinese goods have definitely raised some red flags.
Yeah, we talked about the Snood-Hawley Tariff Act from back in the 1930s.
Right. That's a classic example of how protectionist policies can actually backfire.
And hurt the very people they're supposed to help.
Exactly. It's too early to say for sure what the long-term impact of these new tariffs will be. But history shows us that we need to be very careful.
Unintended consequences and all that.
Exactly. And speaking of unintended consequences, that gap between corporate profits and worker wages is a big concern.
Deutsche Bank is warning about the potential for economic instability.
And social unrest. It's a recipe for trouble.
So what can be done about it?
That's the million-dollar question. It's a complex issue with no easy answers. But it's something that policymakers and business leaders need to address.
So let's shift gears to investment insights.
Yeah.
What did we learn today?
Well, MicroStrategy's all-in bet on Bitcoin is a prime example of a high-risk, high-reward strategy.
You're putting a lot of faith in cryptocurrency.
And it could pay off big time, but it's also incredibly risky. Bitcoin is notoriously volatile.
So diversification is key.
Absolutely. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Now, on the other end of the spectrum, we have Vanguard lowering fees on their ETFs.
That's a win for everyday investors.
It makes investing more accessible and affordable.
And it could force other companies to follow suit, which would be great for everyone.
Competition is good.
It drives innovation and keeps prices down.
Now let's talk about Elon Musk. His influence in Washington is growing by the day.
And his control over trillions of dollars in federal payments is raising some eyebrows.
Including Social Security. That's a lot of responsibility.
And a lot of potential for things to go wrong.
So we need to keep a close eye on what he's doing.
Transparency and accountability are crucial.
So to wrap things up today, the world of business and finance is constantly evolving.
And it's more important than ever to stay informed and adapt to change.
We've seen how tariffs can impact global trade, how technology is reshaping industries, and how individual companies are making bold bets that could have far-reaching consequences.
So as you navigate your own financial journey, remember to stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged.
Thanks for joining us for today's deep dive into business and finance. We'll see you back here tomorrow for more insights and analysis.